Against Iran for the seventh day in a row, American forces targeting a surveillance tower tracking vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran retaliating with drone and missile attacks against U.S. allies in the Mideast. ABC's chief international correspondent James Longman in the region for us again tonight. James.
Mary, CENTCOM has tonight released this footage of a strike on a surveillance tower at an Iranian port, which they say the regime used to track and target commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Although the White House says the strait is open to shipping, maritime tracking shows the reality is that only a handful have been able to pass through under the threat of Iranian attack. And after President Trump's threat to strike at civilian infrastructure next week, Iranian state media reports 2 bridges being hit by U.S. airstrikes, as well as a train station and an airport. Legal experts say striking civilian targets could be a war crime. CENTCOM says they never target civilians. And Iran is still firing back with alerts in Qatar, Jordan and Bahrain, and major damage to a power and water desalination plant in Kuwait today. That forced the government there to advise citizens to conserve energy while they stabilize the grid. Mary.
Okay, James, thank you. And here in the U.S., 24 hours after President Trump delivered his primetime address, making claims about, quote, shocking vulnerabilities in America's election system and reigniting false claims about the 2020 election, a top Republican senator is dismissing the president's warnings as nothing new. Here's ABC's Jonathan Karl.
Tonight, a top Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee poured cold water on President Trump's dramatic claims of, quote, shocking vulnerabilities within our country's election systems.
Frankly, as a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, there wasn't a whole lot new. We've known that our adversaries are trying to influence our elections for a long time.
President Trump released newly declassified documents he claims expose those shocking vulnerabilities.
The election system we have dangerously exposes and really exposes like levels never thought possible to hacking, exploitation, and foreign interference.
But one of the election reports the White House released says America's election systems, quote, would be difficult to manipulate on a wide enough scale to alter the election outcome. Trump accused China of targeting the 2020 election, even though his own intelligence officials had assessed with high confidence that China did not seek to change the outcome. The president also made unsubstantiated claims that hundreds of thousands of non-citizens are registered to vote. Today, Trump's Secretary of Homeland Security vowed to track them down and threatened state officials who refused to help with the effort.
If the election officials, once we gave them the information they need to secure their elections, and they chose not to, then those individuals can also be held accountable by fines, by penalties, and even, depending on how far it goes, prison time.
Although the president made alarming allegations, he presented no evidence that China meddled in the 2020 election. And despite those allegations, the White House told us today that President Trump still intends to welcome Chinese President Xi here to the White House later this year. Mary?
That trip's still a go. Okay, John, thank you.